Just a quick note, I'm going to be off tomorrow. I will not be pushing out a podcast tomorrow, but the news update will go out as planned at WTFJHT.com. We'll be back again on Monday with your regularly scheduled programming. All right, let's do this. Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. Welcome to day 610.
As a result of these violations, we are asking the court to, among other things, permanently bar Mr. Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, from serving as an officer or director in any corporation or similar entity registered and or licensed in New York. To bar Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization from entering into any New York State commercial real estate acquisition or from applying for loans from any financial institution in New York for 5 years. To pay for the financial benefits obtained as a result of the persistent fraudulent practices at an estimated $250 million. Towards the end of my remarks, I will go into the other relief that we are seeking.
New York Attorney General Letitia James sued Donald Trump, Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, and executives at the Trump Organization. In a more than 200-page lawsuit, James alleges that the Trumps enriched themselves through numerous acts of fraud and misrepresentations for more than a decade by grossly inflating Trump's net worth by billions of dollars and deceiving lenders, insurers, and tax authorities with false and misleading financial statements. In a statement, James said, quote, "For too long, powerful, wealthy people in this country have operated as if the rules do not apply to them," end quote. James added, quote, "Donald Trump stands out as among the most egregious examples of this misconduct. With the help of his children and senior executives at the Trump Organization, Donald Trump falsely inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself and cheat the system," end quote. The civil lawsuit seeks to permanently bar the Trumps from ever running a business in the state of New York again, and also calls for about $250 million in penalties. Additionally, James said that she believes Trump and his family business violated several state criminal laws and plausibly broke federal criminal laws as well. James's office has referred the matter to federal prosecutors in Manhattan and at the IRS. James also said the pattern of, quote, "fraud that was used by Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization was astounding," end quote. Meanwhile, the special master tasked with reviewing documents that were seized from Mar-a-Lago repeatedly challenged the refusal by Trump's attorneys to offer proof that Trump had declassified any of the 100 documents that the FBI recovered from his estate. During the first hearing on the matter, U.S. District Judge Raymond Dearie said the DOJ had presented evidence that several of the documents were classified, noting that they are marked as such, and then asked James Trusty, one of Trump's attorneys, to explain why he should question the government's determination. Trusty, however, repeatedly refused to disclose whether Trump had declassified any of the documents that he brought to Mar-a-Lago. At one point, Dearie said that if Trump's attorneys didn't directly dispute the government's argument that the documents are classified, quote, "as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of it," end quote. Trusty then called it premature for Dearie to consider that issue at the moment, to which Dearie responded, quote, "You can't have your cake and eat it too," end quote. Trump has implied that the 11,000 documents taken from Mar-a-Lago by the FBI were all declassified, including the 100 documents bearing classification markings that suggest they contain highly sensitive national security-related intelligence. Moving on, Joe Biden condemned Russia's efforts to erase Ukraine from the map after Vladimir Putin threatened to use nuclear weapons if Kyiv continues its efforts to reclaim occupied territory. Putin also declared a partial mobilization to call up as many as 300,000 reservists to reverse the setbacks it's experienced in the war. At the United Nations, Biden said Putin's war shamelessly violated UN principles by, quote, "extinguishing Ukraine's right to exist as a state and Ukraine's right to exist as a people," end quote, while also calling out Putin for making irresponsible nuclear threats. Biden said the world's, quote, "blood should run cold," end quote, regarding the invasion. On Wednesday, Putin threatened to use nuclear weapons, saying, quote, "if the territorial integrity of our country is threatened, we will use all available means to protect our people. This is not a bluff, end quote. Putin's reference to his nuclear arsenal came a day after 4 Russian-controlled areas announced referendums on the annexation of nearly 15% of Ukraine into the Russian Federation, a plan that Kyiv and its Western allies dismissed as a sham aimed at deterring a successful counteroffensive by Ukrainian troops. Russian airlines, meanwhile, were reportedly ordered to stop selling tickets to Russian men aged 18 to 65. Back in the United States, the Federal Reserve approved its 3rd consecutive 75 basis point interest rate hike as inflation remains near a 40-year high. The decision lifts the benchmark federal funds rate to a range between 3 and 3.25%, the highest level since early 2008, and officials say they expect to raise interest rates to a range between 4.75 and 5% next year. Officials expect inflation to decline from 6.3% in August to 5.4% by the end of this year, before eventually falling back to the Fed's 2% goal by 2025. The U.S. unemployment rate, meanwhile, is projected to climb from 3.7% up to 4.4% by next year, and GDP growth is forecasted to slump to 0.2% for 2022. And finally, sales of existing U.S. homes fell for the 7th month in a row in August as mortgage rates climbed towards their highest level in 14 years. The string of monthly sales declines is the longest stretch since the housing market crashed in 2007. The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage, meanwhile, hit 6.25% last week. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.